Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Welcome to all the G haulers out there. We're calling them now, right?
Mm-hmm. What does that stand for? Tell people.
Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love.
Right.
So you want to do a video on something about why people may not be into you, or signs that they aren't into you.
Right. So 5 signs that the person is just not seriously interested. And I think it's really important to not take it personally when someone isn't interested in you, because it doesn't mean that they don't like you. It means that you and them together are not the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
And often we meet somebody and there's an attraction, especially a sexual attraction, and very often we mistake that sexual attraction for more than what it really is, because we can really be attracted
Right.
to a lot of people, on this
No,
planet.
that makes sense. A lot of people like to call it the honeymoon phase, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you first meet somebody, you're all enamored and you can't
Right.
get enough of them, you can't see them enough, and you're just like crazy over them.
Right.
It's like anything in life, I guess, then the newness can wear off. So
Mhm.
I'm curious. So I was working on some other things. This is really Karen's video. Like, why did you come up with this? What's your thought process?
Well, I've just come across so many people recently who I think are in this situation, and what I hear from them is they're justifying in their mind, that it is a relationship when it really isn't a relationship, and they're justifying the signs.
Right.
And I think the signs are really pretty obvious. Our ego, of course, wants to justify that. And again, it's really important for people to understand when someone isn't interested in you as a partner, it's not because you're not amazing. It's just because that person is, may not be ready. And that doesn't mean wait for them, because they've already signaled to you with these signs we're going to talk about that you're not their person. And I've also seen so many people mistake this for twin flames and this twin flame running. These people aren't running, they're just really not interested, and that's okay. You know what's great about that? It means that you've met somebody, you've had an experience, it's part of your journey, and that door, as soon as you're able to close that door, then the next door can open and you get
Right.
that much closer to
Right.
meeting the right
Well,
person.
there's plenty of fish in the sea. I love all these analogies because they stand the test of time. People keep using them for a reason. There's lots of opportunities out there, and you can make it work with a lot of different people. I
Right.
mean, there's a lot of great people that you could have a great relationship with, and it could be some work. There could be some work involved. I guess whenever we talk about this stuff too, I picture someone on the other side saying, well, it's not always so easy. There's a lot of work involved. Yes, there is. I mean, you have to put 100% in. When two people come together, it's not, she's going to get 50%, I'm going to get 50%. We both give 100% plus to the relationship. That's the way it works.
Thank you. 100%
Yeah.
plus.
Yeah.
Sometimes we give 150% each.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But so it's a lot of work. My point is, it still takes two to tango. I think this is what Karen's saying. The other person doesn't want to tango. They don't want to do the dance. And
Right.
you better figure this out, because you can do all the work you want. If that person doesn't want to be with you, it's a waste of time. By the way, if a person doesn't want to be with you, you shouldn't want to be with them. I mean, I want to be with people that don't want to be with me.
Exactly. And sometimes our ego fights that. It's a really interesting dynamic why we feel that we want to be with somebody who doesn't want to be with us. And there's a lot of reasons why people may not be interested. Sometimes people sense desperation, and that's a really low vibrational energy that repels other people. So that could be one of the reasons. There's lots of reasons, and we'll do another video on that. Or it could just be it's not the right fit. And I think it's a beautiful thing to know that, because again, you can close that door, take that journey for what it's worth, and move on to the next one.
All right, well, what are some of the signs?
Okay, but before I get to them, I just wanted to say, you also will know, because both of you will want to be with each other
Right.
all the time, right? Or at least most of the time. I can honestly say with Jeffrey and I mean, it's been 30 years. We're married 29. From the minute we met, we couldn't stand to be apart, at all. And in fact, moved in together and got engaged and got married really quickly. And the only time that we've ever been apart, never by choice, never because he took a vacation with friends and we have never done that. We're just not interested. We really love and enjoy each other. The only time we've been apart is business, when you traveled and I stayed home.
Well, even before we knew anything about this twin flame thing, I think if you remember, I always said we aren't really good apart. And what I meant by that just wasn't good for us.
Right.
And so you're right. I mean, we enjoy spending all our time together. We're spending a lot of time together in this little mountain condo right now.
Yeah.
We're like on top of each other. You better love each other.
Exactly.
I think through our 30 years, only a few times you might have said you need a little space from me.
Well, listen, our needs in that respect are really different, and I did do a video on this, I think last year, that just I did. I am a person who requires my own space sometimes, and Jeffrey doesn't. He loves to be around people 24/7. I have to have that quiet time. I love Jeffrey more than, the universe. I love my children so much, but I also know that for my own personal well-being, that I have to have that alone time in order for me to be the best version of myself.
Well, I only bring that up because I think that you're not alone. There are other people that like to be alone, so no pun intended.
Yeah.
I get up ahead of you, so in all fairness, I'm like in front of this fireplace, meditating, pulling down some positivity first thing in the morning. I might have an hour or two before you get up a lot of days too, so I do soak that in. But the point is, in general, we would much rather be together than be apart. Like if I'm going to go out and ski, I really want her to come, and I may wait.
And vice versa.
Whatever it is. Or
we go for a run every morning, and we really enjoy doing that together. If we had to do it apart, we absolutely could. But if we can make it work for our schedules, which right now with this, WFA, work from anywhere, we can. So we're choosing to always do it together. So
that's your first sign that the person's not right for you, right? They don't want to be with you.
Exactly.
Right?
So the first sign is they don't want to be with you often. So if you're seeing this person, if you're running into them, and you're out and about and you've had cocktails and you're going home with them, okay, that's a booty call. That is not a relationship. So that if they really are interested, they will find a way to be with you no matter what. I mean, I'll never forget, my parents were coming into town and I had plans with them, and you and I were very, very, early on, and I knew that I wasn't going to see you that night. And all of a sudden he showed up at my doorstep before my parents came. He knew the timing, just to give me a kiss, because I wasn't going to see him until the next day. And that was, 29 years ago, and I still remember it. It left such an imprint and a smile on my face, and that kiss lasted me until I got to see you the next day. So
wow, that's sexy. And by the way, I think it's important to say I wasn't down the street. I was a block over. I was towns over. I think it was probably a half-hour drive.
It was a drive. Exactly, before we moved in together. So the first sign is they don't want to spend a lot of time with you. They aren't reaching out to make plans with you. And then, the other thing is they're not calling you or texting you just to chat if they can't make plans. If for some reason, maybe they're traveling or you're traveling for business, or, you can't get together. If they aren't calling you often and having good conversations with you, they're just not that interested. And you can usually tell, if you happen to call them and they're busy and they can't talk, that's a big red flag. Because I remember, in the beginning, and even now, I mean, we still always make time if we're not together, which is rare, and I see Jeffrey's name come up on my phone, I mean, it just wouldn't matter where I was, I'm going to pick it up. And likewise, I know when Jeffrey was traveling for work, you know, back in the day, he was up on stage giving a presentation, and I called him and he answered right in the middle of this presentation. I didn't know he was in a presentation, but many situations like that.
Yeah, right.
So if they're not reaching out to you, if they're not calling you, so they're not dying to spend time with you and they're not dying to talk to you, those are two huge red flags that they aren't the right person for you. And then here's a big one. When you are together, when you are spending time, are they touching you gently? Are they rubbing your arm? Are they grazing your face? Are they, you know, brushing the hair off your eyes? Or is all of the touching solely to lead to sex? And I know that's very blunt, but and listen, we are very sexually attracted to each other even after 30 years, more so after 30 years. I mean, it gets even more incredible. However, that's not what I'm talking about. If it's solely based around the time you spent together is solely based around sex, that is not healthy for anyone.
Yeah, I always say, you know, love and sex goes hand in hand. So I think it's part of it. But I think what you're saying is, obviously it doesn't take up your 24 hours in a day, right? There's a lot of other time and a lot of other ways to show affection and to stay engaged, is what you're saying. I mean,
exactly.
I'm a fan of, you know, that physical activity.
Yes.
But anyway, with that,
yes, you are.
But that being said, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right.
It's like we were watching this show that we're into last night on this couch over here, and I just remember as you're saying this, I think I was kissing your hair or your head, just like,
right.
But we're just hanging out.
Right.
You know,
we were hanging out.
I wasn't working it.
No, you weren't working it. So we were just hanging out watching TV, and I had my head on your chest, and you were petting me. You know, those affectionate signs are signs that the other person truly does care for you, and they'll usually want to hold your hand if you're walking somewhere, or again, just gentle touches. And if you're touching them and they're not reciprocating, that's a sign as well. So again, if it's just solely sex-based, so if you're having, you know, if they're touching you just to get to the point of sex, and then number 4 would be if after sex, if after you've made love, that they're avoiding eye contact, or they're ready to leave, or, you know, they don't want to cuddle with you. And really that eye contact is a key factor, because if somebody's not that into you, then while you're making love, you know, they may be looking at you, but when it's over, they've already disconnected from that. And you don't want that disconnection. Making love is very important, and it's actually a connection, not a disconnection.
Yeah, and sometimes there's also times like you call it a quickie, where, you know, you don't have a lot of time for all that stuff.
Those are fun too.
You know, those things do happen. And I've got one for you as you're saying this too. And as I said, this isn't my video, so I'm just throwing this out there.
So now we're going to give you 6 instead of 5, a bonus.
So they like to do things for each other. So it's like, for instance, you know, when our skis, we're talking about skiing because we're up here at the ski mountain. I carry Karen's skis because they're heavy. So I carry those for her. I'm happy to carry those for you. Or Karen will do something for me, or make my favorite food. I'm in the middle of something and all of a sudden she's doing it. So I know that this isn't like, oh, I'm going to do this for her only if she's going to do this for me.
Right.
I do things for you because I want to.
Exactly.
And I don't care if I'm doing 100 things for you and you do nothing for me.
Right.
And that's not the case. But you know what I'm saying.
Right.
You can't go into a relationship where I'm not going to do this for her if she's not going to do this for me.
Right.
That's like the worst trap. That's the worst trap to get into, right?
Right. Because your heart is so, you know, filled with the joy of being with this other person, that you want to do things for them, and they want to do things for you, but you don't want to do things with any expectations. That's what you're
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
You're doing them because you just love to do that.
Right.
And I love that Jeffrey carries my skis. Honestly, he's been doing that, from day one. We've been skiing together for all these years. And it makes me feel really special that I'm walking with you and you're carrying my skis. I love that. So I appreciate that you do that. And so that was a bonus. So number 6 is that you question whether or not they're really that into you. If you're questioning it, that means that they're not giving you the proper signals, and you already know the answer.
Right.
You're kind of looking for validation, but that in itself is validation. So those would be the key reasons that, if you're in a relationship with those factors, there's nothing wrong with that if that's where you want to be. But if you truly want to have a long-term relationship with a commitment, then the sooner that you get out of the relationship that isn't going to be that, the sooner that you are going to find the right person. And again, there's nothing wrong with being in, a relationship for the now, if that's what you truly want in your heart.
Yeah, those things happen, but I think that's all good advice, good points.
Yeah. Well, wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the Nest at Copper Mountain.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.